DECATS. It stands for Delivering Efficiency, Capability and Transformational Services. DECATS was developed by local partnerships, a joint venture between the Treasury and the local government association. And the aim of the DECATS programme is, according to local partnerships, to create simplified and standardised processes across local government. Now you, like me, might already be thinking, oh dear, for I know that standardising processes drives costs up because standardisation fails to absorb the variety of customer demand. But let's get under the skin of DECATS. As Deming would always ask, what's the method? Well, the first thing you have to do is part with 120 grand in order to buy the suits who are going to teach you how to apply the DECATS toolkit. The main component of the toolkit is an analysis of current costs and a gap analysis, the gap between where you are and where you'd like to be. And then you get to develop a target operating model and, in short, you implement it. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, not to anyone who knows what's wrong with conventional management. Analysing costs is nothing like understanding value, and anything that purports to be a gap analysis can only have been dreamed up by people with gaps in their understanding. And just wait till you hear what the target operating model always looks like. But we're going too fast. Let's go back to the method. In preparation for the analysis, managers are asked to create a vision. Oh, yawn. So who's not going to say, we want to be an amazing council, delivering amazing services? But hold on, what do the managers see on the suits slides? A statement saying that part of the vision could involve the council doing fewer things better. Clearly a lead-in to the suits' real intent. How can we chop out some activity or services here? To conduct the analysis, the suits take managers off to a room where the managers are asked to estimate the time people in their department spend doing different things. The managers are given a spreadsheet. Down the left-hand side, they write down the job roles from senior manager down to frontline worker. And across the page they're told to decide what percentage of people's time is given to the following types of activity. Initial customer contact. Assessing and deciding what people need, actually delivering services to people, supervising people, workforce planning and scheduling, doing administration and so on. Those are just the high-level categories. It gets even more detailed. For example, managers have to assess how much time their people spend making appointments, entering data, closing records and so on. Now, you may have noticed that this analysis is nothing more than a series of guesstimates, with no critical analysis of whether the activities themselves are concerned with value work, doing what matters to customers. It's what you'd want as a platform for planning a major change, isn't it? No, I don't think so either. But let's continue. Once all the data are gathered in, the hapless managers discover the cunning plan. For the data analysis has been conducted in line with what the suits call a standard operating model. You see, the suits think that everyone who's dealing with customer contact is, in effect, doing the same work. So when it comes to the target operating model, we see the intention is to create a call centre that will handle all first contact transactions. The same goes for all work that is defined in the target operating model as back office work. The suits believe that if every department is, for example, doing communications, then centralising communications will give obvious gains. Well, not obvious to me. But the suits put it this way. Lots of the resources are doing the same things, yet they're based within the different services. On top of that, they're doing these same things in different ways. So if we centralise them and standardise them, we will reduce costs. Because the target operating model is for standardised call centres and back offices, then the plans for change are also encouraged to include sharing services and or outsourcing them. Now, once the suits have got the councils on the hook, they can exploit this process for years. The poor councils will think they need business plans, a programme office to manage the change, plans for standardising information technology and so on. And they'll be seduced by some minor but real savings from sacking a few managers, what we call less of a common resource savings. While these are real, if paltry, savings, the big savings promised by DECATS are the savings from standardisation and centralisation. and these promised savings are always put years out into the future, thanks to the business cases written by the suits. DECATS has been running for about 5 years, and still the chickens have not come home to roost, but they will, in the shape of high-cost, poor-quality services. But you see, DECATS fits the command and control narrative. The people at local partnerships, the great and good of local authority people, think it's all good. Their view is that DECATS will improve the customer experience. In their guide to DECATS, they wrote, "Empowering decision-making at the first point of contact and presenting a genuinely corporate front office to customers which will cut through the complexities of the organisation on their behalf." In truth, as we know, moving all telephone work to call centres, treating it as something that can be specialised and done away from where the actual service is delivered, creates failure demand. Of course, the DECATS suits wouldn't know that, and instead would treat the rising demand as requiring more resource. They say simplification of the overall criteria-based eligibility checks and rules-based assessment process undertaken by frontline staff will result in improved service delivery through increased professional input to more complex service cases and reduced cost through delegation of decision-making to frontline staff. You can see where their heads are at. Get cheap people to do the simple things. Save our expensive experts for more complex things. It's cost thinking. And what happens when you manage cost? But even worse, they think it's sensible to simplify and standardise eligibility checks. And as we know, all that does is reject people who will then turn up elsewhere to get their needs met. Yes, more failure demand. And that's what DECATS does for you. Whether you're silly enough to outsource, share, or create your own in-house industrial design, DECATS will drive up failure demand. Why? Because the logic underpinning DECATS is the archetypal command and control logic, that demand equals work, that work equals activity, and if we standardise activity, we will drive down unit costs. If we pull together standard processes, we will get economies of scale. It's a flawed logic. If you want better services at much lower costs, you need to learn how to design against demand. You need to learn how to manage value, not cost. These designs put people in control and, as a consequence, are capable of absorbing variety. It is the antithesis of DECATS, and unlike DECATS, it delivers in the short term. DECATS won't deliver efficiency, capability and transform services. DECATS will deliver excessive costs and terrible service.